Agreeing with my friends to keep the peace is just fear of being different with extra steps. This is what I've come to learn. And interestingly, I am on the third day of my 75-day friendship challenge. And I ran smack into this one today, disagreeing with my friends and what that brings up in me and how I handle it. Because how I've normally handled it all my life is just agree. Just agree. Just be like, I'll say something along the lines of, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. Or I'll say something like, got you. Makes sense. And it makes sense. And I can see where they're coming from. But I have a very different opinion. And do I ever voice that opinion? No. No, I do not. I just make them think that like I agree. Even if I pushed back before, right? So what will normally happen? How this will happen in a conversation. I will say something, they will disagree, and I will say, "Okay, yeah. I can see where you're coming from with that. That makes sense." Or they will say something, I will pluck up the courage to disagree. And then they will be like, no, but da, 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 da," and then re-explain their whole point. And usually it takes more than a minute. It's normally like a monologue of them really explaining, re-explaining their point to me. And at that point, I'll just be like, yeah, got you. I can see where you're coming from. Makes sense. And I leave it right there. And I need y'all to understand. I am the introvert. Yes, I am the listener personality, have been in a lot of my relationships. That's who I've been and what I've been sitting in. I am also very, very aware of energy expenditure in my life because I have been burnt out before and because I'm an introvert. So like recharging my energy is something that I need to be aware of and to do on quite a regular basis, particularly when I'm engaging with my friends, especially in a group. One on one is so much better, but in a group, that is something that I have to be aware of. And so, what that means is because I am the listener, I tend to be a safe space for people. People feel like they can trust me and share their opinions, share their ideas, share their perspectives with me without judgment, right? And they feel safe to vent, to share their honest like opinions, even if they are sitting in a space that they know is not healthy. They know they can come to Chelsea and Chelsea will hear them out, right? And I'll encourage them. I'll sit in empathy with them and I'll be there. And let me be clear with y'all. I do not have a problem with being that personality unless I don't have a similar space. And this never used to be the case. Like before, I didn't have a problem being this personality, and that was it. I didn't care about reciprocity. I didn't care about like the other person being a safe space for me. I didn't care about any of that. I was just like, listen, I'm happy to be your friend, and I'm grateful to be your friend, and I will listen. That dynamic has changed because I'm very aware that a lot of that is coming from fawning, people pleasing, wanting to belong, etc., etc. And so, thankfully, praise Jesus, he did a work. Your girl does not do that anymore. However, this thing of not voicing my disagreements, that I still do. I still do that. And I think a lot of it comes from this sort of like introvert listener personality that's always been the safe space, wanting to remain the safe space for people. And when you disagree, in our world today, the minute you disagree, you become unsafe. The minute you disagree with somebody, there's a threat, right? So I want to remain that safe space. And so I don't say anything. But even more than that, I think my introvert like characteristics, as well as my elder daughter. characteristics because I am the oldest daughter of two children for my parents, and I have a brother, and that is a thing because when the parents and the brother are arguing in the house and vocally disagreeing, not being abusive or anything, just like the confrontation is intense, right? In those moments, how did Chelsea deal with that? How did Chelsea deal with that when she was growing up? Guess. Chelsea ran the opposite direction as fast as she could. If Chelsea could run away, Chelsea would run away. Okay. And so, um, and then in other cases, I was also not required, but I also played the role of the mediator and the one who would bring the harmony and like talk to this person and share the parents' talk to my brother and share the parents' perspective, talk to my parents and share my brother's perspective, and like trying to bring harmony in the family. So I have learned to run away from confrontation and disagreement. And I have also learned that to be the mediator in confrontation and disagreement. And I think having that experience of like being the eldest daughter, being an introvert, not wanting to experience confrontation because as an introvert, that does pull on my energy, but having to function in confrontation in a mediator, harmonizer kind of role, that then means that my preference and my default has become running away and harmonizing as much as I can, which of course, all stacked together, means your girl does not vocally disagree. This means that in that moment where my friend is explaining and monologuing and reiterating their perspective that they've already shared that maybe I've disagreed with already, or that is contrary to what I have shared, I just listen, I nod, I say, okay, yeah, got you. Okay. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. This is Chelsea. In that moment, up until now, I don't refuse it. And I think like that kind of a pattern is really, it has a lot to do with what I just said about my default and my elder daughter syndrome. Shrinking, harmonizing, and being harmonizing and actually like diffusing. Harmonizing and shrinking, right? Harmonizing and agreeing. Um, because and I think a lot of that is coming from this idea of like I am an introvert and it takes energy for me to disagree with you, and it usually takes energy for me to disagree because in a disagreement there is a tendency for two people or more who are disagreeing to think that the goal subconsciously, both this unconscious agreement in the conversation, is that one person must change their mind and we must come to an agreement. And so, what usually happens in disagreements for me is that, as I said before, I state an opinion or a friend states an opinion. And then the friend counters or I disagree, and then the friend goes on and on again. And what they're trying to do is bring me over to their side to help me see and agree with their perspective. I don't agree. Them repeating their stance is not going to change that. But me agreeing will shut the argument up and stop pulling on my energy in this moment. Because what it really is, y'all, is I'm dysregulated. In a moment of confrontation, I am in high dysregulation because I'm snapped right back to baby Chelsea, not baby, young Chelsea, who was harmonizing everybody and running away from confrontation. I get right back to that. The default, listen, the imprint of this default is deep in my bones at this point. So I am in immediate dysregulation. My emotions are already like on high alert trying to figure out, okay, how do I harmonize this situation? So the quicker I can harmonize it, the quicker I can get away from it, and the quicker I'm not feeling emotionally taxed, right? And the quicker I can re-regulate. I don't, my regulation in the middle of disagreement, especially when I see that the person is trying to convince me, and I know my stance is not going to change by their argument, especially because they've already like they've already said their argument, or I know who they are and I know their argument because I've been listening to them for years. So like I know I'm not going to change my stance, but they want to change my stance. So the quickest solution to harmonize and run away and re-regulate is just pretending like I agree. And yeah, it's messy. It is so messy. It's messy because I'm lying. It's messy because I'm pretending to agree to keep the peace. And that pretense is false. It is deceptive. And what that then means is that my friends are forming a connection to a version of Chelsea that does not exist because they are forming this idea of me in their minds that this concept, this principle, this perspective, this idea, Chelsea agrees with. It's not true. That version of me does not exist. But they are forming connection with that version of me. And so the cost of me not voicing my disagreement is that I deceive my friends, I shrink myself, right? And don't take up space in the relationship, don't allow myself to be seen for who I am, and potentially open the door to resentment. Because how many times am I going to sit here and shut up while you say things that I don't agree with? And you don't even, it starts to feel like you don't allow me to express my opinion. Because every time maybe I start to disagree, you try to convince me. And in my head, I'm not going to be convinced. But in your head, you're not trying to convince me in any kind of malicious way. Me speaking about my friends now. You're just trying to get me to understand and maybe see where you're coming from and agree. And in your head, agreement is innocuous. Agreement is innocent. Agreement is a good thing. We strive for agreement. I think I kind of feel like that's what people think. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. What do y'all think about this? How do you think that people think about arguments and disagreements? Not even arguments, disagreements. Like it don't have to be heated. It's just I have a different perspective than you do. I have a different opinion than you do. And I think people think that agreement is a good thing and disagreement is a bad thing. Agreement is good. Disagreement is also good. How can we have any kind of comprehensive creation, comprehensive innovation, comprehensive solution if we don't have diverse perspectives? A really full, meaningful life is created from being and engaging with diverse perspectives. How do we have that if we don't have disagreement? The point of a conversation within which disagreement exists is not for both parties to agree. It's not for both parties to agree. It's for both parties to find common ground in disagreement. That's what I think. But I don't think people share that perspective. And so everybody's trying to convince me, and the emotional toll that that takes on me to try to regulate myself in the middle of that, while also trying to pluck up the courage to explain my perspective, and also trying to read the room and be like, I don't think you're going to get it. Let me just wrap this up. Okay. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. So that I can cut. Like, exit stage left as fast as humanly possible so that I can go like, breathe and re-regulate myself. Whether I'm still, it could be that I'm still sitting there. Because I'm thinking of an instance, y'all. I went to a restaurant with a friend and she said something that I disagree with about women's health. And I not a controversial topic, okay? It's not nothing controversial. It's a really simple thing. It's about and it's not about birth control. It's not nothing like that. Um, really simple. But I disagree. And I voiced my opinion. She went on a brief monologue of somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes explaining her perspective and disagreement with what I just said. And in that moment, I could see, at least, let me not say I could see this because I don't know if it was a fact. It could very well be my perspective and my default becoming like the lens through which I see every disagreement. So I have to own that I'm in this too, right? Like I am in this. This is my response and my defaults that are coming into play right now. In that moment, it seemed to me like if I shared my perspective, she was going to come back with her perspective. The tone that she was using, I read it. Now, I am not the best reader of tone because the way that I think certain tones should be are not like is not the real thing that people mean. This has happened to me multiple times. I think people are upset with me when they say certain things, they're fine. They don't feel no way. Meanwhile, in my head, I have caused a big problem. So not the best reader of tone. We'll admit that. But her tone seemed to communicate to me that if you go any further with this, I will counter. And me wanting to make her feel safe, make her feel settled, diffuse the situation, not have it turn into a heated conversation, feeling completely dysregulated, going back to young version of Chelsea is just like, okay, harmonize so you can cut and re-regulate. Harmonize so you can exit and re-regulate. And I still sat like, when I say exit, it's not like I left and went to the bathroom. I was still sitting there in the conversation. But because the sense of connection had been restored, I could re-regulate and she could back off of any kind of heated opinion that she was beginning to have. And I really think that this is one of the things I get to work on is yes, communicating vocally my difference of opinion, but also communicating, um, hey, I recognize that you want me to understand where you're coming from and potentially agree with you. I am not going to agree with you if you explain yourself again, but I really appreciate you sharing your perspective and we can agree to disagree. And it means nothing about our friendship. It means that we are just different people with differing opinions, with differing perspectives, with different ideas, which is beautiful. That is a good thing. That we are different in this way. That's fine. And I'm not talking about difference on core values here or anything like that. I'm talking about differences of opinion, right? This is not a make or break thing in my friendship. It's just a difference in opinion. But I think that in our world, agreement has come to mean safety. Agreement has come to mean belonging. I mean, I think about the reality that in global history, any group of people like gathered based on their sameness, and you were excluded from the group if you were different. And in the group, there is safety. There is a sense of identity. There is a sense of common ground. There's a sense of we look out for one another in this group. We show up for one another in this group. We care for one another. We are protected. We are provided for. This group is us, right? Versus the outside people, the people who are different. from us. So the minute you become different from the group, you become a threat to the group identity and they push you out, right? Because you're no longer the same. If you are different from me, will you actually show up for me? Will you share your provisions with me? Will I be safe with you if I am different from you? And throughout history, whether you look at minorities or not, right? People of color or not, different class statuses or not, whatever you look at, being in a group meant being safe, and being different meant being ostracized. And you no longer belong. And further to that, you are no longer safe because now you're out here by yourself and you have to figure it out, whatever that it is, whether it's like practical safety or just regular old sense of identity in life, right? And as a Black woman who lives in the Caribbean and lives in Jamaica, and there's a particular idea of what Jamaicans are and what Jamaicans do, and I am not that in many ways. Um, it is very easy for me to feel othered and for me to feel outside the group. And so, in a moment like that, where my belonging feels threatened, the desire, the emotional tax, like the line item on my emotional invoice is become like it's expensive because I am now expending a lot of emotional energy to secure my place in this group, whether it's just a 2-member group or a bigger group, right? And by secure my place, what that looks like is making sure you're good, harmonizing the situation, shrinking and not stating my piece, not taking up space, making sure everyone's okay. And in that overextension of myself and abandoning of my own reality in terms of sharing my perspective, because I've abandoned myself in that moment. That's very clear. I have walked away from myself in that moment, and I'm just harmonizing. I'm trying to regulate you so that I can then regulate me. Okay? And that kind of like over responsibility, I am used to carrying it from a young girl. I and nobody pressured me to do this, y'all. I took this on. Okay? This was not a role that I was really asked to play. This is something that Chelsea just did. And I don't know where it started, but it is full on a default right now. And so I am working to make sure you're okay and I'm still accepted here and I'm still safe here, and you still feel safe with me because I am your safe space and I am your listener friend. And I want to make sure that you still see me as the same, because the minute you see me as different, boo boo, my place here is threatened. Bruh. And I don't think it's just me. I think that it is a subconscious thing. I don't want to say for all of my friends, but I'm sure for some of them as well. The minute that Chelsea disagrees with me, is she judging me? Is she no longer accepting me for who I am? Is she going to be mean to me? How will I be seen in her eyes now? Will will this be different? Will our friendship be different now that she disagrees with me in this way? I think people are concerned about that. And so not only so they try to convince me. So they try to convince me, and I think in general, our friends try to convince us because they don't want us to leave. They don't want to feel judged. They don't want to be unsafe, right? Because being different means being unsafe. Yeah. Yeah. um so yeah, I just it's a situation. It's a conundrum, y'all. Agreeing means being the same, and being the same means safety. Disagreeing means you're different, and difference means lack of safety. And in order to make myself the same as you, in the face of potential difference, I have to secure my space with you. If that means shrinking so that your opinion is the one that gets voiced, and pretending to agree with you and deceiving you, I will do it. If that means for you, you convincing me, going out of your way to help me see and understand and agree because you want to be the same as me, you want to be safe with me, you want to maintain this relationship as it is, you try to convince me and continue the argument. So now what I end up with is a situation where I deceive my friends because I'm trying to keep the peace and not pay the high emotional tax of the high emotional line item on my invoice of like being different from you and being unsafe with you. Because the mental gymnastics of that, I don't even think I've gone as far as to think about what that would require or whether or not I could handle it. I think my nervous system just is screaming in that moment that I can't pay that tax. I can't pay that line item on the emotional invoice. I just can't. I don't have the energy for it as an introvert to do anything beyond what I know. And what I know is harmonize and then run away. Harmonize and then regulate. And so my friends are now have a picture of me in their minds that is not fully accurate because I have deceived them. And story come to bump, if there is ever a point where I start to voice my opinions, which there will be because that's something that I have to learn to do. This is now kind of a part of my 75-day friendship challenge. Is learning how to say when I disagree and stand in my opinion and let people know, hey, nothing like this doesn't change how I see you as a friend. This doesn't change what you mean to me. We're just different people, and that's fine. I'm gonna have to learn how to do that, but I don't, I couldn't pay it. My nervous system is screaming that I can't pay that line item, and so I have to do everything in my power to not pay it. I don't even know what paying it looks like or means. It just feels expensive. And so I run the absolute opposite direction. It's messy all around, y'all. It's messy all around. At this point, I think my biggest job in relation to this is finding ways to say it. What I've said on this video is as much as I have come up with. It's just being frank and saying, hey, I don't agree with you. But that doesn't change our relationship. It doesn't change how I see you. It doesn't change how much you mean to me. I'm not judging you. You're like, we just don't agree. And that is fine. We're different people. We're bound to disagree. It's okay. I don't know if that'll work. No idea if that will work at all. But that's what I've come up with in terms of like trying this out. Because I can't erase myself anymore like this. I cannot abandon myself in this way any further. And I think that because I believe that disagreement is not a bad thing, I have to walk my talk and help my nervous system feel safe in disagreement. Help my nervous system not be screaming at me and be completely dysregulated in a moment of disagreement. Because guess what? We are safe. It's highly unlikely that that friend is going to like end the friendship because of a small disagreement. And if they are, Chelsea, you have tons of beautiful, wonderful people, whether you've met them or not, who can also be your friends. Like, if they end a friendship over something like this, then you have to ask, were they a meaningful friend that contributed to your life and that you had the like equal opportunities to contribute to theirs to begin with? Like, and that's scary. That is definitely scary. Don't get me wrong. And I don't anticipate that this will be easy for me. But it is also very clear that this is my desire. It's also very clear that I will not, because y'all, what a lot of where this comes from is like people pleasing and fawning in my relationships. And I cannot afford to do that anymore because it's self-abandonment. It's conflict avoidance, trying to keep myself safe, right? Trying to return my nervous system to regulation and trying to protect myself, but in protecting myself, I actually set myself up for further disconnection and brokenness and potentially losing the very friendship that I'm trying to save because I'm being deceptive. And people feel betrayed. People can feel betrayed when they find out that you've been lying about this thing, about agreeing with this thing for a very long time. It's like, Chelsea, why did you just tell me the truth? Because you wouldn't listen. Because I felt like you wouldn't listen. Because I interpreted your tone to mean that you couldn't hear what I was going to say and not hear it as uh like you being unsafe, you potentially being judged, like the friendship now meaning something different and losing value in my eyes. That's what I thought you heard, and so I didn't want to make you unsafe, so I lied. Of course people are going to be betrayed by that. They're going to feel betrayed by that. I mean, even today, I had a moment where I was talking to a friend and we were having a really hard conversation. I don't know if she realized that it was a hard conversation. So I need to go back to her and talk to her about this. But it was a hard conversation for me. And she said something that really hurt me. They threw up my friendship challenge, y'all. Not me. Actually reaching out and trying to be a friend and getting hurt on day 3, baby. Jesus, take the wheel. Day 3, hurt already. I was hurt, and I don't think she meant to hurt me, but her belief about this idea in the coaching space, and therefore what I interpreted as her belief about me was hurtful to me. And I don't think she realizes that if she believes this thing that the coaching space believes, this is what she is saying about me. I don't know if she's made that connection, and I don't know if she sees how hurtful that is and how untrue it is. But it was hurtful to me. And I walked away from that conversation and I was feeling like, y'all, I shut down. I shut down so hard. I was, yeah, yeah, I feel you. Okay. No, I'm listening. She asked me so many times, hey, are you still there? Are you still there? And not me being like, yeah, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to you. Because I was on the verge of tears. That's why. And so I had to lock it. And my automatic response in a lot of those moments is to lock down my emotions. And it is subconscious. I still don't know how I do it to this day. And I still have a hard time re-accessing my emotions after I've done that. So Jesus was with me today. Thank the Lord. I did pray and the Holy Spirit did help me because I needed some help because your girl was in it. Okay. And in that moment, when she hurt me and I disagreed with her overall belief in this thing that is circulated in the coaching industry, and therefore the consequent belief about me that she may or may not realize that she has because she believes that overarching belief. When I disagreed with that, and when I was hurt by her statement and walked away from that call numb because I shut down my emotions because I couldn't have that was Chelsea trying her best to regulate. And the best way that I knew how to regulate and not make it unsafe for her, again, self-abandoning, right? Like not making space for myself in this relationship, fawning, people pleasing. I am aware, bruh. I know. all of the things, right? All of the things in that moment. But in what that meant for me, keeping myself safe in that moment was locking it down because I did not have the emotional, like my emotional invoice was so full by the disagreement and the hurt and the dysregulation that came with that, that I did not have more empty space for line items on the emotional invoice that were getting exponentially more expensive with every single second. It's like a new line item was being added every second of that call, and every single second it got more, it doubled in price. It doubled in emotional price. So like the graph was going like this in terms of like emotional expenditure that I had to be doing to continue to stay safe on that call in the middle of hurt and in the middle of disagreement and consequent dysregulation. And then as a result of all of that, I couldn't handle it. I locked down the bank. I locked down the emotional bank. I was just like, nope, we're not paying this. We're not paying this price. Shoop. I sucked it all in. I teared up at one point and I said, oh my gosh, Chelsea, you cannot do this. You cannot speak because she will hear the tears in your voice. I shut myself up, y'all. I literally silenced myself on that call. That is insane. Whew. Let me drink some water. I need some water. Jesus, help me. Help your girl. This is why I'm doing the 75-day friendship challenge, y'all. Because these are the patterns that have been ingrained in me, that I've ingrained in myself, that I need to rewrite. Desperately need to rewrite. Because this, I don't want to do this to myself anymore. This is not how I want to treat myself. This is not how I want to love myself anymore. Love is protection, but love is also courage. And love is holding yourself through hard moments and allowing yourself to be held through hard moments and seen and known in hard moments. And I am safe. I don't have to protect myself in this way anymore. I am safe. I am safe. Not me turning this whole video into a therapy session. So in the middle of that, I shut myself up and I said, Chelsea, you cannot speak. Because if you speak, she's going to hear the tears in your voice and you can't handle what comes after that. That was the subconscious. Like I didn't like consciously say I can't handle what comes after that, but that was the thought. I think that was the feeling. Like the as I said, the emotional invoice was full and gets every line item getting exponentially more expensive. I couldn't do it. So I numbed myself, shut myself up, kept nodding, kept pretending, kept chuckling, pretended like everything was fine. And when I came off that call, I was like, Holy Spirit, help me. I don't have it. I can't deal with this, but I literally can't work until I resolve this because this was in the middle of my workday. I can't work until I resolve this emotionally, but I literally can't even access my emotions right now because I am numb, because I shut myself down, because I couldn't handle that. And thankfully, like I said, Holy Spirit, help me. Jesus, help me. Oh, thank God for Jesus. Thank the Lord for the Holy Spirit. Jano. All of that to say, the Holy Spirit helped me re-unlock those emotions. I cried my tears. I dealt with it. And in that moment of hurt, I had an opportunity, I think, to assume the worst of that friend and to be like, you were not you were not loving me in that moment. I don't know what you were trying to do, but you didn't mean the best for me in that moment. And I am moving into disconnection and distrust. I had the choice to do that in that moment. But I think I chose to assume the best motives of her. And some of y'all might disagree with me on that. And that's okay. But in moments of disagreement, I try to assume the best motives and hurt. I try to assume the best motives of people, particularly if we have history. And because I know people care about me, and sometimes the words just don't come out the way that they are meant, and they don't realize the impact of their words. And in those moments, I have to take responsibility and to take up space for myself and say, hey, this hurt me. And I want you to know that. as my friend and as somebody who I know cares about me, this was hurtful to me, and I want you to know that. Um, and so I assume the best motives of her. And yes, that does open me up to be hurt again, because I could go back to her, express that it hurt me, and have her be like, but why? And slap me in my face, right? Because it would feel like a slap in the face in that moment. And it would be a double down on the hurt, 100%. Um, so I do open myself up to more pain, but I also open myself up to be known and seen. I open myself up to more integrity because I'm telling the truth about where I am and what I believe and my opinion and where I disagree with her and where she hurt me. And I'm also opening up the opportunity for me to watch myself no longer abandon myself in these moments. For me to watch myself love me in this new way, in these moments of what have traditionally been high dysregulation. I mean, high. Y'all don't want, I don't know if y'all understand the impulse to exit a confrontation. The like exponentially rising emotional tax that is happening. The invoice that is just get, like in those Disney animated movies where they like unfold the the receipt and it just like rolls down the street. That's how long it's getting. And every line item costs more than the last one. Double the last one. Triple, quadruple. This is what we're doing. And I get to love myself in that moment and show up for me and watch myself follow through in that way and build a new level of self-trust in those moments, build a new level of integrity with myself, build a new level of I have my own back, and figure out how to communicate and still maintain friendship if possible. If the other, because it takes two. So if y'all are offended or you walk away from me, well, then there's nothing I can do. I just have to like take care of myself at that point. But yeah, growing the skill of communicating in disagreements, in addition to showing up for myself in such a powerful and meaningful way. Day 3, y'all. Lord have mercy. What have I set myself up for? 3 days in? What is this? What is this? And the only reason that I really started reconnecting with this friend is because of this challenge. I literally was like, okay, she's messaging me, she's calling me. I said, and this happened last week, and I said to myself, Chelsea, she's calling you. And you're going to be doing this friendship challenge of like being more intentional with your friendships. You're going to start right now. So you're going to call her back. I called her back and missed her call. And so I think we made arrangements to talk today or yesterday, something like that. Or yeah, no, she called me back yesterday evening and then I called her back. I missed the first call and then I called her back. And that's the only reason why I called her back is because of this challenge. It's because I had decided we're following up on our friendships. And now here we are. Big moves, big growth, big challenge. I will be talking to her. So we'll see how that goes. I have no idea. I'm not afraid in this moment because I think the yes that I'm giving myself to is showing up for myself in this way. Is no longer abandoning myself. It's creating a new dynamic in this relationship where in the past it has been people pleasing and fawning and lying and pretending. In this new dynamic, I get to take up space. I get to be seen. I get to be known and show up for myself in that way and create a new depth of friendship because she actually knows me. And so I'm giving my yes to that. And so what I am saying no to is not as scary. I'm saying no to, protecting myself. Which means I'm be saying yes to being unsafe. But the flip side of that yes coin is so much stronger than the fear of lack of safety now. Um, So yeah, it feels good. And I just saw a text from her. I listen, I have prayed. I do not know how I'm going to do this. I don't beyond what I've said on this video, I have no strategies. So if y'all have strategies, drop them in the comments for your girl. I don't know. But yeah, my yes to my heart and myself is stronger than my yes to protection and trying to stay safe. And we are safe. So we get to love ourselves in this new way. All right, y'all. I might have an emotional hangover after this. Sound off in the comments. How do you handle moments of disagreement in your friendships? As an introvert, as a listener, as a safe space for your friends? I'd love to hear. As eldest daughter or elder daughter who's used to harmonizing, as somebody who can't handle confrontation, how do you handle disagreements in your friendships? Sound off in the comments. Let me know. And if this hits, subscribe because we talk about friendships a lot around here. All right, so there will be more videos coming and you can go check out the archive. As a matter of fact, I'll leave some videos around here somewhere so you can watch to your heart's content. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining me for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.